They hired a big movie star, Arnold Schwarzenegger, to take my place. And we know how that turned out. The ratings went right down the tubes. It's been a total disaster.
Arnold, I have a great idea. Why don't we switch jobs? You take over TV because you're such an expert in ratings, and I take over your job. And then people can finally sleep comfortably again.
So being from Europe, I have seen firsthand how things can spin out of control. I know there is a fear in this country and all over the world that something like this could happen right here.
Did you hear about the bodybuilder who just knocked Trump's ego down a few pegs? Yep, Arnold Schwarzenegger flexed his political muscles and left Trump whining like a deflated balloon. Turns out the Terminator's got more than just biceps. He's got some serious verbal firepower too. Trump's reaction, let's just say it was about as strong as a wet noodle. Stick around to see how the Governator schooled the Donald on what real leadership looks like. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Terminator himself, decided to step into the political arena and give Trump a taste of his own medicine. And boy, did he deliver a punch that left the former president reeling like a cartoon character who just ran into a wall. Picture this. Arnold, with his muscles bulging and his accent thick as ever, dropped some serious truth bombs about Trump's leadership skills, or should we say, lack thereof. It's like watching a bodybuilding competition where one contestant forgot to work out for, their entire life.
As an immigrant to this country, I would like to say a few words to my fellow Americans. President Trump sought to overturn the results of an election, and of a fair election. President Trump is a failed leader. He will go down in history as the worst president ever. The good thing is that he soon will be as irrelevant as an old tweet. Very aware of Kristallnacht, or the Night of Broken Glass. It was a night of rampage against the Jews carried out in 1938 by the Nazi equivalent of the Proud Boys.
Now Trump's fans must have been scratching their heads harder than a monkey with fleas. How could their hero, the supposed master of deals and winning, get schooled by a guy who once fought a predator? Well folks, it turns out that Arnold's got more than just biceps. He's packing some serious political firepower too. But Arnie didn't stop at just criticizing Trump. Oh no, he went full-on history teacher mode. He compared the January 6th mess to some pretty dark stuff from the past. It's like he opened up a dusty old textbook and said, "Hey Trump, your chapter's right here between things that went horribly wrong and oops, we did it again."
You famously said that the Republican Party has a problem at the box office. I heard you equate the GOP with the Titanic. Explain.
The reason why I said it was because their policies were such that they were not really including everybody. And we were losing them because we were not addressing those issues. So I was telling them, I said, look, the way you're going, being so anti, healthcare reform and being so anti-environment and stuff like this, we are losing and we are dying at the box office.
Our muscle-bound hero wasn't done flexing his political muscles. He called Trump's influence melting away faster than the T-1000 in a vat of molten steel. Ouch, that's gotta hurt more than getting caught between the Terminator's bicep and forearm. Trump's probably fuming so hard you could fry an egg on his forehead. His face must be turning as orange as, well, that thing he uses as a safety blanket every night. But here's the kicker. Arnold didn't just criticize, he went for the jugular with some good old-fashioned facts and logic. It's like he brought a bazooka to a thumb war. He pointed out how Trump's lies and conspiracy theories were hurting the country, and how real leaders should be focusing on bringing people together, not tearing them apart.
The only thing is that we don't have to go under completely. We don't have to wait for that moment. Let's change and let's go and be more open and go back to this kind of like a big tent idea of Ronald Reagan. And I think this is why we have helped it to some extent here in California with getting rid of gerrymandering and to do redistricting reform and to have open primaries.
Independents are about to overtake Republicans in California. What can California do differently?
I think independents are going to take over the Republicans, they're going to take over the Democrats also.
And you know what's really wild? People actually listen to Arnold. Turns out when you've got biceps the size of basketballs and a political resume that includes governing the biggest state in the country, folks tend to pay attention. Who would have thought that the guy who once said, "I'll be back," would come back as a voice of reason in American politics? Alright folks, grab your popcorn because we're about to witness the most underwhelming comeback since Trump's last attempt at being relevant. Our orange friend, stripped of his Twitter megaphone, had to resort to his own sad little social media platform. It's like watching a toddler try to yell from the bottom of a ball pit. So, what earth-shattering zingers did Trump come up with?
What do you think about Donald Trump running for president again?
You know, I think that's the past. And I think that we have to march into the future. And I think there are very talented people in this country on the Republican side that can run. So I would go, look in the future rather than in a rear mirror.
What masterful retorts did he craft? Brace yourselves for the verbal equivalent of a wet noodle. Trump, in all his wisdom, called Arnold a failed governor and said his movies really suck. Wow, Donnie, did you stay up all night working on those? I bet he thought he was being real clever, probably high-fiving himself in the mirror. But wait, there's more. Trump, being the master of "I know you are, but what am I?" politics, tried to flip the script. He claimed Arnold was the irrelevant one, saying, "Nothing says I'm still important," like desperately trying to convince people you're still important. Oh, the irony is thicker than Trump's spray tan. It's like watching a balding man make fun of someone else's hair. And of course, our favorite orange turd couldn't help but brag about his poll numbers. He's leading in all the polls, folks, just like he's leading in the most likely to be confused by an umbrella category.
His trip this year to Auschwitz, which was the first time he'd been there. Remember, his father was a Nazi. And he talked about anti-Semitism. We talked about a feud he had in the 90s with Sylvester Stallone. There's a lot there.
Feels like it's close enough to Friday already.
Yeah,
after the week
who knows what day it is.
I know.
Yeah.
All right.
Just working. There's our promo coming up Friday night at 10:30. Hope people can watch.
Absolutely. All right.
And so all of that is coming up tomorrow night on The Issue Is at 10:30, or Friday night at 10:30 on The Issue Is.
His approval rating is reportedly lower than the chances of winning the lottery while being struck by lightning. But hey, who needs facts when you've got delusions, right? But the cherry on top of this sad Sunday, Trump dismissed the January 6th riot as just a love fest. Yeah, because nothing says love like smashing windows and threatening elected officials. It's like calling a dumpster fire a cozy campfire. Let's be real, folks. Trump's comebacks were weaker than gas station coffee and about as satisfying as a diet soda. It's like he's trying to fight Arnold with pool noodles. The Terminator's words hit Trump harder than a Schwarzenegger punch, and all Trump could do was flail around like a deflated balloon. Well, folks, it looks like the Terminator just terminated Trump's ego with the precision of a laser-guided missile. Who would have thought that an action star could outshine a reality TV host in the political arena? But here we are, watching Arnie flex his political muscles while Trump's left holding his tiny hands. Schwarzenegger's words seem to be hitting home with folks who are sick and tired of all the political mudslinging. It's like he's tapped into this big old well of "can't we all just get along" sentiment. Maybe people are finally ready to say "hasta la vista, baby" to all the divisive nonsense. So next time you hear Trump bragging about, well, anything really, just remember, in the battle of biceps and brains, Arnold just curled Trump's entire presidency and tossed it in the political dumpster. Looks like the Governator might just be the unexpected hero we needed in these crazy times. Who's laughing now, Donnie?